This time I'm going to show you how to make the cow catcher. So we're going to first start with a sketch on the XZ plane, and over here on the top I'm going to tip it so then top is read the correct way and it's not sideways. Next thing I'm going to do is going to take a line and I'm going to place it in. Okay, the dimension for this line is going to be, let's see, right here. So that is 1.8 inches. Alright, so I'm going to zoom in a bit here. And then I'm going to click on one of the constraints. So it's the first one right here. We are going to find the center, oh, there it is, the center of the line. And we're going to connect it to the origin. So the reason for this is we're actually going to have two layers connecting to each other, and if the two layers are not 100% lined up, we're going to have some problems. So I have that part first. I'm going to put in my next line. This one is going to go straight down. And this, if we look over here at this view, we can see that it is 1/4 of an inch. Okay, so 1/4 of an inch. Alright, and we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Again, straight down. And again, it's 1/4 of an inch. So the next part, we're going to place these in. Okay, just make sure this doesn't end up to be 90 degrees. If it's 90 degrees, you're going to have to delete one of these lines and then put it back in. So what I'm going to do is dimension from our corner right here. Click on the point of kind of our V shape. Click off to the side. And my dimension for that is right here. So that is 1 inch. Okay, we're still not fully constrained. We need to click on our edge right here. Click right here. Go up. And this is going to be half of our number for this back edge. So that is going to be 0.9. Alright, so that is our first sketch. So normally what you would do right here is extrude, but we're not going to do that because instead we're going to be using the loft tool. Before we can use the loft tool, we need to actually have another sketch so we can connect the two together. So what I'm going to do is go to plane and go to my XZ plane, click and drag. Okay, you need to click and drag. And then we're going to place in the dimension, which is the height of the entire part, which is 0.75. So that's going to create a work plane that is above the original sketch. So we have our original sketch right here and a work plane up top. So I'm going to click on Start 2D Sketch, and this is going to seem a little bit weird, but if you click on it, you click through it. So you got to click on the edge. So that yellow line that shows up, when my cursor moves over, you can kind of see it get selected. So I'm clicking on the edge of the work plane. Now I'm going to do basically the exact same thing I did before, just it's going to be a little bit smaller because it's this top portion. So I'm going to put my line off to the side, my constraint with the center point, again with the origin. Yep, here we go. You might want to dimension it before you move it because as you can see it kind of looked like it vanished. So my dimension for that is right here. So that is 1.2. Alright, and again, we're having our lines go from the corners, and they are again going to be 1/4 inch. And I'm going to make sure I do that on both of the sides. Same dimension, 1/4 inch on both. Okay, now again, I'm going to place in my points, or my kind of V shape here. Make sure again it's not at 90 degrees. If it is, you're going to just have to delete one of these green lines and put it back in. So not a huge deal. I'm going to click on my corner, click on the bottom of my V, move it over, and let's see, oh, there it is. Here's the dimension we need. So it is 0.75. Alright, still we need one more dimension. And I know right now it's kind of becoming a mess. It's because we can see two different sketches at the same time. So this is going to be half our dimension for back here. So that is 0.6. Alright, so finish sketch. So now we can see our two different sketches. And I'm going to, just to make it a little bit easier to see, right click on work plane and uncheck the visibility. If you delete your work plane, you're going to delete sketch 2, and that's not what we want to have happen. Now I'm going to click on loft. I'm going to click on the outline for my first sketch, click on add sketch in the pop-up, then click on the outline for my second sketch. Now click OK. So if you did everything right, what we can do now is, actually before that, let's shell. So the shell tool is right here. So for the shell tool, if you just click it, it hollows out the inside. But we want to remove a face, we want to remove the bottom. I didn't include the image over here, but it's hollow on the inside and also on the bottom. So we're going to click on the bottom to open it up. And we want to make sure we have the thickness correct. And it just so happens that our default happens to be the number we want. But in case you changed our default, the number that we want to have here is 0.1. Alright, so now I'm going to show you that thing I was talking about. So I'm going to click on the side. So if you can't click on it and it won't let you create this sketch, you're going to have to go back to your original sketch 1 and sketch 2 and kind of see what happened. So to do that, you click on the arrow next to loft and then double click on sketch 1, see that everything's fully constrained with that back edge at the origin, and same thing with sketch 2. That should fix any issue you have. Next I'm going to do project geometry for this outside edge. And I'm going to use this offset tool. The reason why we're going to use this offset tool is because the edge of the entire part right here is the same thickness all the way around. So I can just kind of move this in and you can see how everything switches to the same amount. So the dimension for this is 0.1 inches. I can finish my sketch, extrude, and since we have two different shapes on here, it's a little confused, so we got to click one. Alright, that's not the one I want because I want it to cut, so to go in, and we need to change the dimension because 1 inch, if you turn it this way, is way too far. So our cut in for that is right here. So that is, oh, need to highlight it, 0.05. And again, that is 0.05. Alright, so with this, you can do the exact same thing on the other face, or you can do mirror. So I'm going to show you how to do mirror, but if you're more comfortable with just doing those steps over again with the other side, that's fine too. So I'm going to click on mirror. The feature that I want is the extrusion. The mirror plane is going to be the YZ plane. Again, YZ. And then I click OK. You see how it cuts it in automatically? So that's a different way to do the same thing because they're identical on both sides. So now I'm going to flip this over to the back. I'm going to create a sketch on the back. Alright, I'm going to put in 3 circles. Make sure when you're doing this you don't accidentally click any of these lines that are kind of popping up when you're doing this. So if you're really bad at that, you might want to just like put the lines or the circles 100% off to the side. Doesn't really matter where you put them right now, just as long as they are not connected. Actually, let me just throw one in so I can show you what I'm talking about. So this line is yellow because it is connected to that one, so I can't move it back and forth, but I can move it up and down. So if you do have that issue, you're going to have to delete your shape and just kind of try again. So I'm going to now dimension these from here to the bottom edge. For this one, we can see right here. And just so you know, my note here, some people remember to read it, some people don't. This dimension is from center mark to center mark, not to the bottom of the piece. Because it's isometric, it does look like it's to the bottom of the piece, but it's not. Okay, this is where you should be looking. So, my dimension here is going to be 0.125. And I'm going to have the exact same number for the other side. So you can either type it in or just click on the number, and now they're actually linked. Alright, my next one, I'm going to go from the center point of this one to the center point of here, and this is where that 0.50 comes in. Okay, so we have 0.5. Alright, so we still have some green lines. So I'm now going to go from this center to this center and go down. And let's see, we can see them right here. So that is 1.25. Alright, I know it looks like it's off to the side, but that's fine. We'll fix it in a second. So we're going from our top center one to center and then over. And that we can see right here. So that is 0.625. Alright, so we can see how everything is still green. So I'm going to go from this edge right here to the top center point. And I'm going to cut this number in half because it's going to be right in the middle. And that would be right here, so that is 0.9. Alright, I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but all the center points just turned blue. So that means all of these are locked in place, except for these. You can still grow and shrink, but I can't move the dot around. So the center point is locked, but the rest can still move. So I'm going to place the dimension for this one in. So if we look, let's see, oh, right here. So I know it doesn't have the diameter symbol, and it should, but that is 0.125 inches in diameter. So we can dimension all of these the same way and just dimension them, or I can use this equal constraint and click on the original one that I just mentioned, and click on the other one, then click on the new blue one, and click on the last green one, and now they are all linked together so they are the same size. Now I'm going to click Finish, Extrude. I'm going to extrude all three of these, and I'm going to change my dimension right here, and it's also going to be 0.125 again. Alright, so we are almost done. We have one last step. So chamfer. So the chamfer that we're going to be using for this part, you can see right here, and if you need the larger version, right here, we have a distance and an angle. Okay, so our distance, let me highlight it, is going to be 0.01. Again, that is 0.01. And the angle is 45, and the default for mine just happens to be the same number. So now what I'm going to do is click on the face of one of these little pegs, and then click on the edge. And then apply. And the reason why I clicked on apply instead of OK is because I still have two more of these to do. So again, face, edge, apply. Face, edge, and since this is the last one, now I'm going to click OK. So that gives us our cow catcher. So the part's all done. So that was now the last part of our train. So after this, we are going to start assembling